Yokoe, talofa, kirana, and a very warm welcome to the Pacific Way. In this episode, we have two amazing stories for you. Women of the Pacific are breaking barriers and taking on new and challenging roles as leaders across the region. Women are now taking on roles and responsibilities which were once considered in this part of the world to be only for men. One such field is surveying, a vital component for sustainable development in our islands. Through regional support and collaboration, the Pacific Geospatial and Surveying Council was established and is encouraging women to take up the profession. We'll look at how the island kingdom of Tonga is leading the way.
My name's Siotasia. That's a surveying scientific term for geodesy, which means I divide the earth. So when my dad took up his master's degree in the UK, he finished his studies. He finished off when my mom was giving birth with me. So when she delivered me, that's when my dad named me Geodesy, in Tongan Siotasia.
Today, across the Pacific Islands, working women are breaking traditional and cultural barriers in a variety of professions. One such field is surveying, and one of the women breaking new ground is Siotasia. The 23-year-old is the first female surveyor in her island kingdom of Tonga. Surveying and the geospatial science have traditionally been male-dominated fields, but Siotasia never saw that as an obstacle.
Well, growing up seeing my dad, he inspired me so much just by seeing him, the type of work he used to carry out. So seeing him, I just had so many interest in surveying. And because, his whole life he was a surveyor himself, even worked for the government. So seeing my dad going to work, it drove an interest in me to take up surveying.
She's brought a sort of vibrancy to the survey division. I think one of the positive outcomes of having her here is that she's able to provide a bit of administration with the surveyors, because they said, we're always out. They're field workers, and every time we try to get some work, check in the office if somebody's there. No one's there. So she provides a lot of admin. And she's picking up a few of the management aspects of it as well. But also, I think, is one of the newer graduates. She brings in a lot of new ideas, new innovations. She's very creative. And I think she livens up the survey section.
In Vanuatu, Sharon Rose has been working with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources as a remote sensing and GIS officer.
So when I left school, I had no idea, no aspiration, nothing to drive me into doing what I'm doing now. But I had two subjects in mind that I wanted to undertake in uni. And it's history and geography. One of the things that stood out to me in geography was the field trips, and that was one thing that I really liked, to go out. And so I decided to take that up as a major at the university. So I started out, and I found out that at the university they offered diploma in geospatial science, and computers was one of my thing as well. And so I thought, that is an interesting combination, to have geography and information system as one.
A love of the outdoors and a sense of adventure motivated Vilimaina Mbatirerenga of Fiji to become a surveyor.
I'm an outdoor type of person. You can't find me in a week. I can't be in the office. I have to be somewhere outside, either sports or. So my love for adventure, I guess it's basically comes down to the passion that I have for both engineering and outdoor activities.
The Pacific Geospatial and Surveying Council, or PGSC, is a regional body of surveyors and geospatial specialists. In 2018, the PGSC launched its 10-year strategy to advance the profession, technical standards and training opportunities for Pacific Island countries. One of the 4 primary goals of the strategy is to promote a geospatial and surveying community that is inclusive, supportive of learning and innovation, and provides equal opportunities for all genders and backgrounds.
Definitely, it's a male-dominant community, surveying, but not geospatial, because I mean there are a lot of females in the GIS community as well. But we would like to see a lot of more female surveyors in the surveying community.
I think that is something that has been long overdue in terms of working together in the region, being able to share ideas, network. And because of we have the Pacific setting, basically we have a lot of commonalities. We also have differences, but that's where we are able to learn from each other. So I think the council setup is an idea that is long overdue, and I think the setup of it, we greatly benefit as Pacific Island countries.
Geodesy in the region as it's an increase of the recognition of our services. It's because in terms of technology that we use, like for developments to and environments, the coastal mapping and climate change, and with related to sea level rise. The geodesy or surveying is involved there, and it applies across a wide range of spectrum, from maritime boundaries and coastal mapping and engineering surveying, and there's a need to sort of have a conformity or consistency of the practices that has been practiced in the region. So this is, it's surveyors or geodetic surveyors play a wide range of roles, and especially in the professional, technical level of the work, the activities have been carried out in the region.
The acting Surveyor General in Vanuatu agrees that more awareness is needed on what surveying is all about.
In Vanuatu, a lot of students, they know about engineering, they know about architecture, but they see surveyors in the road, but they don't know what they're doing. But yeah, we as an institution need to go out into the educational stream and make more awareness to the students and scholarships people, because now in Vanuatu it's a big demand for students to go study for surveying.
The Pacific Community, SPC, as the Pacific's regional hub of expertise in applied geoscience, is confident the future is bright, with more and more women entering the field.
I'd like to challenge other women out there and girls, ladies that are interested in STEM-related fields, in particular surveying, that we are just as capable as males, and it's just a matter of having faith in what you do and being ambitious and determined to succeed in whatever field that you would like to pursue in the future.
Believe in herself and come out of her shell and don't be so shy and nervous, because everything's possible. Like if men can do it, women can do it too.
Welcome back. You're watching The Pacific Way. Between 2011 and 2016, the Republic of Marshall Islands battled with a prolonged drought across its islands, bringing challenges and struggles for its people. The continuous drought meant a swift and coordinated response was needed to ensure people did not suffer the consequences. We look at the lessons learned from the Marshall Islands drought and the importance of a multi-sectoral approach to bring relief.
The Marshall Islands consists of 34 atolls with more than 1,200 low-lying islands spread across the vast Pacific Ocean. People living in the outlying atolls rely on conventional water sources such as rainwater harvesting and wells. The islands are highly susceptible to extreme weather and climate change, including droughts, floods, storm surges, storms and typhoons. Risks that are anticipated to increase as a result of climate change and climate variability. The 2016 drought in Marshall Islands was one of the most severe in recorded history, similar to previous events in 2013, 1998 and 1983. It caused serious water shortages, agricultural losses and health impacts for an estimated 53,158 persons across the country. A one-month state of drought emergency was declared by the government of RMI, which was subsequently elevated to a state of disaster and extended twice. On April 27, 2016, the US President Barack Obama declared the drought a disaster for the Marshall Islands. People in the outer islands were impacted by the drought in many different ways.
Well, I can talk about 2013 as well, because that was the most worst one that we have. People were very impacted from that drought. Not only that drought, but also the inundation, sea level rise. It impacted the livelihood of the people in the island, especially the women. Lesson learned was not that we were not really impacted, not only from the food side of it, but also as well as the water. Because if there's no water, there's no food. Availability of water, we depend on the water lengths and rain. We got the lagoon and the salt all over. So if there's a drought, there's a huge impact in that area.
The sparse and scattered nature of islands and atolls in the Marshall Islands makes communication and transportation between the islands very difficult.
Well, the most difficult one is the transportation. Transportation here in the outer Marshall Islands, every 3 months, we send out ships to the outer islands to transport food to the people. and also bring in copra.
The impact was clearly evident on those living on the outer islands.
But when you see people who are having to walk long distances to access wells or community tanks, when the grass is, the grass here is just brown and crispy and the coconuts are shrinking, it's really kind of heartbreaking to see. And I'm glad that a lot of people came together to do a lot in advance. And so it certainly puts a lot of stress, for men and women differently. What are your normal behaviors? What are you able to do to support your family? And how is that changing when you're not able to harvest copra? When you're not able to pay for food, when you can't do your normal cooking and cleaning procedures. And so that's, we really did see hardships for people in the outer islands, and we're hoping that the assistance that collectively we were able to give was able to relieve some of that during that really intense dry period, which did last almost 6 months.
This had widespread impact on the livelihood of everyone dependent on agriculture.
What I've seen with my eyes is that it really impacted the agricultural side of things, also the water, hygienic, and I saw that it affected the copra collection production, because that's one of the means of making money in the outer islands. It's by processing the copra and making sure that they collect as much as they can. But the drought itself really affected the live crops and the coconut trees. That way it affected the farmers.
Having experienced 2 severe droughts in the past 5 years, Marshall Islanders have many experiences to share on how to build resilience in readiness for future droughts. These include empowering communities.
I think from the last drought and also connecting it to the 2013 drought, and then also looking at this 2017 short-term drought, is really the biggest lesson I've seen that's being learned is the need for continued monitoring and watching the weather forecasting, but also empowering communities and providing them tools and training on how they can be agents of change to be prepared for times of drought.
Constant communication ensured people took heed and responded to the early warning signs of droughts observed in the outer islands.
This is where I say that the line of communication is really important, because we started to notice the drought impacts because the outer island people, they started to call here in the center, the Majorelle, saying that they are experiencing, there hasn't been no rain over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And also their coconut production, it's not producing as much as they expected. Even our women in general, when they were doing handicrafts and all that, they started to see and they started to feel that the materials they are using for the handicrafts are starting to getting depleted or getting much lesser.
In the Marshall Islands, each atoll has an elected mayor who is responsible for the welfare of their communities. Their constant updates ensure swift and coordinated approach to bring relief.
Connection. I think that's the most important thing, is the connection between the national government and the local government and the grassroots. And that's where the mayor comes in and kind of go back and forth as a liaison officer, going back and forth between the 3 sectors. And of course, the programs and the NGOs that provide technical trainings and that kind of stuff.
And the mayor's network will remain critical to ensuring rapid response in any future national crisis in the Marshall Islands.
They are the most active part, that the contour that actually connected to the national and the local, well, 3, and of course the grassroots. So they are very important, and that's again, that's where I think the government should also take the initiative to provide capacity building to these mayors so they can be able to come up with ideas and formats of future plans to strategize their future.
Be sure to check out all our videos on the Pacific Community YouTube channel or the Pacific Way Facebook page. Until then, Taufa Soifua, mahalo and metaki.